Hello students, welcome to the EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Rashmi Sharma, Head of the Department OB and HR, Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, Delhi. Today, we will learn the module HRM in Service Sector. This module is from the paper Contemporary Issues in HRM and Future Trends. The learning outcomes of this module are: we will be introducing what is service industry, what is the role of human resource management in service industry, what are the different challenges that HRM faces in service industry. After completing this module, the students will be able to understand and appreciate the differences in employment practices in the service industry vis-a-vis the manufacturing sector, develop their skills in applying the human resource management concepts to different types of service-oriented organization. The service sector now accounts for over 70% of employment in the industrialized economies of the world, with Norway and the United States out front at over 75% of employment as per OECD done in 2005. Telecommunications, transportations, wholesale, retail business, finance, insurance and business services account for almost 60% of all employment created in the industrialized economies over the past decade, while community, social and personal services, including the health and education, account for the remaining 40%. Now let us understand what exactly is the service sector. The service sector can be described as the part of the economy that includes individuals and businesses that produce services rather than goods. The service sector is one of the fastest growing sectors of the world economy. Role of HR in service industry is what we are going to understand now. In the service sector, the HR function plays a very important role. In the service sector, like the finance and technological companies, the brand value is measured according to the levels of intellectual capital, which is a derivative of the contribution of the human resources in the company. Let us now understand what are the challenges in human resource management in the service industry. With the rise in service industries all around the world, human resource department need to step up the HR function. Employees who possess the right people management skills are the need of the hour. The service sector employs a big figure of people in most economically developed states. Recruitment and selection is one challenge that HR faces in the service industry. The recruiter has to be effective in the highly specialized interaction of the selection interview, wherein the task is to find out relevant information about an applicant on the basis of which a judgment has to be formed whether or not that this person would match the skills, experience and attitude that are required in the job to be filled. One issue that comes to the forefront in managing people in the service sector is the recruitment and selection of staff. Managing people in the service sector is becoming more challenging as organizations have to look for the right people who possess not just the right qualification but the right attitude and people skills. There is a rise in the demand of social skills and personal characteristics in the frontline service. Recruitment and selection in this context relies heavily on the social skills rather than the technical skills, as there is a need for the employees to interact well with the clients to fulfill the demand of the business. It has become increasingly important for managers to seek to get the right person that would fill the part, not necessarily based on experience but also on their personality traits. High recruitment costs are part of the issues that managers have to constantly tackle with, as it takes constant time and effort to get the right candidate for the job. Thus, it is important for the managers to discern how to choose the right people so as to avoid a high turnover in the organization. We all are aware that with the advent of service sector boom, there is a rise in the demand of soft skill. One of the most fundamental changes that have taken place in the last 2 decades has been the growing tendency to label what in earlier times would have been seen by most as personal characteristics, attitudes, character, traits or predispositions as skills. Soft skills such as personality traits and general people skills are becoming increasingly important in today's time. The frontline staff needs effective soft skills to relate with the other clients. This is a challenge in the service sector because such skills are hard to pick. There is a need for constant skill development as the change in the service sector. The search for the right person for the job has led to the rise in demand for aesthetic skills. The frontline employee's appearance is now an integral part of an organization, as they are the first point of contact between the client and the organization. Such service industries tend to rely more on the aesthetic or the presentable skills today than in the past year. John Philpott, a chief economist with CIPD, that is Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development, puts it this way, quotes, "In such a job market, the way people look, dress, behave and present themselves joins the long list of soft skills employers require in today's time." Quotes closed. Some economists have coined the phrase aesthetic labor to describe words for workers who are hired primarily for their image and advocate style training to ensure the job seekers can match the expectations of employees and customers. This has been quoted from the article which appeared in Personnel Today in the year 2002. Let's understand what exactly is diversity and how diversity is a challenge when it comes to human resource management in the service industry. Recruiting and selecting people for frontline service work, the need is to speak right, which is essential for some employers. This has created the concept of the style labor market. Nixon et al. In 2004 had proposed the word the style labor market. However, the interconnectedness of the world through globalization and free movement of people across border means that people from different nationalities might apply for a specific job, and handling them would become another challenge. Strong emotional quotient. Being part of the service industry can be emotionally very exhausting. Managing emotional labor in the frontline service is crucial for the success of an organization. Employees who cannot put their feelings under check put the organization at risk. Though emotional labor is crucial in the frontline service. It can cause problems if not handled properly. Hochschild describes three forms of jobs that involve emotional labor. They are those that require face-to-face or voice-to-voice contact with the public, that requires the worker to produce an emotional state in another person, and the jobs that allow the employees to exercise a degree of control over their emotional activities. This can lead to emotional exhaustion and create stress. This is as per Hochschild in their study done in the year 1983. Another researcher, Grande, in 2000 said that the emotional labor is a form of emotional regulation wherein workers are expected to display certain emotions as part of their jobs and to promote organizational goals. The intended effects of these emotional displays are on another targeted people who can be the clients, customers, subordinates or co-workers. Having a form of control over one's emotions is considered to be skilled work. Nikki James, a researcher, in a stimulating essay dedicated to emotional labor, defines it as the work involved in dealing with other people's feelings, a core component of which is the regulation of emotions. A critical issue in service organization may be to retain the service employees in general and specifically those employees who are talented in working with customers and delivering excellent service quality. In examining the training and development in the service sector, a concern worth mentioning is the role clarity. An employee might not perform a specific task well because of uncertainty. Slater, a researcher, has explained this, stating that when an employee receives and understands clearly the information that is required to do the job, there will be a positive effect on employees' perceived service quality. No two service interactions are the same, and this gives rise to uncertainty in the service delivery process. If an employee is sure of what to do, that they will be confident in delivering effective service. On the other hand, uncertainty gives rise to poor service delivery. It's an employer's duty to state the correct job specification and give the employee a vision of the goals that are set and where they expect to be in future. The frontline employees in service organizations are required to interact with customers and are expected to deal with a number of requests. Managers are equally responsible for empowering and training the frontline employees to provide a service that reflects the company. The question posed to managers are, can the skills that are required for frontline service be developed, trained or learnt? Let's identify which ones are the best fit practices and which ones are the best practices and which is better. The skills that matter most are dependent on the kind of service sector and the level of discretion that is given to the worker. The principle of best fit vis-a-vis best practice has to be applied here. Employers are listing the personal characteristics among the skills that they are seeking for. There's now a trend of looking good and sounding right. Best practices are usually a way of adopting rules that have worked for some other organizations. It is a standard way of practice. To conclude, the service industry is characterized by inseparability of personal service that is provided and the human agency providing the service. This is often accompanied by the intangible nature of the quality of service. As compared to manufacturing, organizations in service sectors have a higher need to align the HR practices to the customer relationship management practices so as to ensure a requisite quality of service to the customer. Thank you.